square, I guess. Yeah, well, all right, let's see. Okay, so we'll give it a couple more seconds to see if people are joining in. I'll let Lily show up, come on screen so we can see everyone's beautiful faces. Yay, there's Lily. So it's finally here. This is the day. This is the launch party. Very exciting.
Yay!
Right? This is the culmination of a lot of time and energy and effort. So I'm very, very excited to share this with the world. I think what I'll do first is just show a quick little video of the network itself, a little show trailer. You may have seen it before, but just kind of like to get us in the mood. So here we go. I don't know if anyone noticed, but we actually, there's part of that soundtrack is from line 14 in the Paris Metro. So I don't know if you picked up on that, but it's in there. There's actually a suggestion from you, Gail, from Gail Boisclair, who suggested that we put a little taste of the Paris Underground into the Paris Underground radio show trailer. So that's what I did. So let's see. Let's start at the beginning. What is Paris Underground Radio? Or maybe we should actually start before that. Who am I? So my name is Jennifer Geraghty. I am a screenwriter and a director and a podcaster from New York who moved to Paris nearly 11 years ago. And I am the creator of Paris Underground Radio. I decided to create this to sort of fill a void that I saw, things that were lacking here in the expat experience. So what is Paris Underground Radio? What is this experience? So it's an online space that is created by expats, for expats and lovers of France, where you can go to be entertained or informed, guided, connected to people who have similar interests with you. And the cornerstone of this network is the podcasts, which you will learn about tonight. The idea is to expand this. So right now we're starting with these podcasts, these 12 podcasts on a bunch of different topics, but we're planning on growing to encompass a marketplace as well, because there really isn't a good space for that either. And so yeah, eventually a marketplace. We want to host live events and I don't know, who knows, take over the world. We'll see what happens. But the idea is to start with these podcasts, with information, with this kind of dialogue between us and you, and then to grow from there. So why does this space exist? Why do we need this? The thing is, there are so many expats that live in France, so many of us, and there isn't like one place for us to come together, to get our information, to meet one another. And not just us, but there are French people who've left who consider themselves expats too, whether they live abroad or they live back here again, all part of this sort of, I don't know, worldly mentality. I don't know if that's too lofty. But so this space is sort of to connect that. There are places that exist. There are forums, there are Facebook groups. There are even other really great podcasts about Paris, but they're not in one place and they don't work together to balance each other out. So the idea here is to create something where we're all complementing one another to benefit you. And the other thing, if I may be so bold, is that some of those forums can be fairly nasty. So I wanted to create a safe, a trustworthy, and a fun space where people can go to learn about Paris, to get help navigating the ins and outs of daily life, or like just simply be entertained. Our motto is for expats by expats, but you can enjoy these podcasts no matter where in the world you are, or if and when you ever come to the City of Light, which I think you should. The other thing that I want to mention that I've hinted at that is really important to me personally is that this space, Paris Underground Radio, be inclusive and non-judgmental, and above all else, kind. So the hosts that I have here with me are experts in their fields. They're well-spoken, they're interesting, but also they're really nice people to hang out with. And I think that this is a value that's undervalued, if I can say so. I think the idea here is that we create this core little group of podcasts with people who share these values. You see yourself reflected in them. The idea grows, it snowballs, we take over the world and hate is eradicated and, you know, everything's great. But to begin with, so we have 12 different podcasts, all but one of them are weekly, and there will be new shows 6 days a week coming to you, depending, and they're released weekly, depending on what category they fall into for at least the next 20 weeks. So we've got one season so far, it's 20 weeks long. Sunday, we have our culture and events podcasts. Monday is business and news. Tuesday is fashion and lifestyle. Wednesday is entertainment. Thursday is mind and body, and Friday is food and wine. So there are other podcasts that are in the works. There are 4 or 5 that we're currently working on that may come out in this season, or they may come out in season 2. We just sort of have to see how it works out. But there are pieces that are missing in what we have so far, so we're looking to fill that in. If you have an idea for us and you want to pitch it, I'm definitely open to hearing. Most of the podcasts are between 15 minutes and half an hour long. So short, sweet, get in, get some great information and get out. There are a few that are a little bit longer if you really want to indulge yourself. And what else can I tell you? So beginning on Sunday, the official launch date is Sunday, the 19th. Beginning on Sunday, when you go to our homepage, you will find a playlist that will list all of the newest episodes from all of the latest shows. And you can just sort of play them like you're playing a radio station. So if you want sort of like a sampler plate of who we are and what we have to offer, going to the homepage is a great way just to sort through and see what you like. You can come back every day, every week, whenever you want. There'll be new shows as soon as they're updated. If there's a particular show that you really love and you just want to follow that show, you can go to that show's specific webpage. You can also go to Apple Podcasts, I think is what they're calling it now, whatever iTunes is. Google Play, Spotify, Deezer, Spreaker, like literally anywhere that you get podcasts, you'll be able to get these beginning on Sunday. But if you have joined us via the Zoom stream, so if you're not watching us on Facebook, but you've actually registered for the event, you will get a sneak preview of 1 week of all of our shows. So 1 episode each from all 12 shows. There will be a playlist with all of them, just like I mentioned with the radio station. I'll send you a link tomorrow. You'll be able to go and access all of them. If you are watching this and you did not subscribe and you want the sneak preview, all you have to do is go to our webpage to parisundergroundradio.com and either register for the newsletter or register for the launch party, and you'll be added to the list. So no problems if you're here, you haven't done that, just hop on over and do that. What else can I tell you? So there is, okay, so I don't want to describe this project as a labor of love because labor sounds kind of negative, and I don't want to call it a passion project because that sounds like it hasn't been a lot of work, but it has been something that I am passionate about and I do love. We have been working really hard on this for about the past 6 months. I would say that this idea started coming into focus in December of last year, January of this year. We really started working on it in March and April, and over the summer put a big push towards making sure we could launch for you now at the rentrée. There is a lot of work. There are a lot of running costs that go along with this. These shows are completely free, but if you would like to support us, our hosts have put together some really incredible auction prize packages that you can check out. You can bid on them. And if you're not interested in the auction, but you just want to donate, there's a way for you to do that as well. The auction, so I've gotten some responses from people who live in different time zones and are not able to be here for this now, but they want to watch the live stream later, which I guess doesn't make it a live stream, but you know what I mean. And so I've extended the auction until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, Paris time. So you can just focus on this launch party here while we're all having fun. And then afterwards, check out the prize packages and bid on whatever you'd like. To that end, I'm going to show you a little video that I put together about the packages so that you can see if anything piques your interest. And if I'm able to share my screen, I am. All right, here we go.
The first Paris Underground Radio prize package is the Moving to Paris package. It's perfect for you if you've always dreamed of moving to Paris. It's also a wonderful choice for anyone planning a vacation to the City of Light. If you're looking to add a little more sensuality to your life, the Bras, Bubbles, and Romance package is perfect for you. Share with a lover or keep the romance all for yourself. Starting a company in a foreign land can be complicated, and boy do the French love paperwork. If you've been dreaming of starting your own business in France, but haven't been quite sure where to begin, our once-in-a-lifetime startup prize package is perfect for you. If you're craving clarity, relaxation, and inner harmony, gift yourself the Treat Yourself prize package. Find some help along your spiritual journey and indulge in rest and relaxation. Last, but certainly not least, we have something special to please our gourmands. If you can't get enough of delicious French wine and indulgent French cheeses, the Wine and Cheese Prize is perfect for you. There's also a little something in there to satisfy the sweetest of sweet tooths. If you'd like to bid on one of these fabulous prize packages, please go to the Paris Underground Radio auction page. If you'd prefer to make a donation, you can scroll to the bottom of the auction page and support us in that way.
There you go. Excellent. So we're going to start opening up the Q&A panels now. The first panel will be culture and events. Sorry, I have too many pages open. All right, so the first panel is culture and events. If you have any questions for us, please put them into the little Q&A icon thingy there so we can make sure that we get them and ask them. In this panel, we will have Don't Miss This, which is hosted by me, Navigating the French, which is hosted by Emily Monaco, Paris Cachée, hosted by Lily Heise. I'm going to quickly show you our show trailers, and then we'll start with the questions moderated by Gail. Well, let's see if this works.
We've all seen the Eiffel Tower, queued at the Louvre, and picnicked on the steps of Sacré-Cœur. But a treasure hunt through the Marais, drag queen bingo in Belleville, graffiti art installations in abandoned warehouses in the 14th? Those are the unique Parisian experiences we don't want to let slip away. My name is Jennifer Geraghty, and I'm the host of Don't Miss This. From art installations to authors' talks to tours to culinary ateliers and everything in between, each week, Don't Miss This will fill you in on the best of what's going on in Paris. Don't miss this, airs every Sunday on Paris Underground Radio. If you think you've got something we should know about, please email us at hello@parisundergroundradio.com. Happy exploring!
Great. And then the trailer for Navigating the French.
To flâne is far more than to wander, and bonjour means way more than hello. Discover these and more words that teach us what makes the French so French with Navigating the French, Sundays on Paris Underground Radio.
And last but not least, Paris Cachée.
While walking the streets of Paris, do curious details ever catch your eye? The city has a myriad of lieux cachés, or hidden places, and we uncover the most intriguing ones on the Paris Cachée podcast. If you're keen to explore Paris on a deeper level, then join Paris Cachée host Lily Heise and a cast of zany historical figures from queens to angry mobs as we traverse the city and the centuries on our quest to discover the surprising stories behind these lieux cachés. The Paris Cachée podcast is available every other Sunday on Paris Underground Radio. Visit parisundergroundradio.com/Paris Cachée to listen and subscribe.
Okay.
Wow, that was really great. Can I jump in here on the Q&A and get this started?
Please do.
Well, welcome everybody. It's really exciting to be here. Even though we're not doing it in person, it's so exciting to see all of you participating with this live launch party. And to kick it off, our first Q&A is, as was described, cultural and events. And we already had some questions from some of the great participants. And so I'd like to start off straight away with some of those questions. We have Susan Jones, who asked us, what is your favorite hidden pastime in Paris? Something that might be quiet or loud, but that those who don't live in Paris wouldn't know. Who would like to answer this question?
I feel like that's a question for Lily.
Oh, yeah, sure. I actually have a lot of ideas, but when thinking about this particular idea, I thought that going to art openings in Paris was something that locals know, and not even all locals, actually. And a lot of art openings happen in the art galleries on Thursdays, sometimes on other days of the week, but there are actually a few websites that list them. And you can go to art openings and learn about art, see culture, mingle with locals, and get free wine. And so it's actually quite a cheap outing as well. So for me, I think that that's quite a local thing, that it's not too talked about outside. It's our little secret.
Well, I think that's a great idea. And you know me, I love free wine. Well, yeah. Oh, I only have water. What am I doing? We've got a second question, actually. Well, it's not really a question, but let's see who would like to help Tony. Tony Palafax, she is visiting Paris on the 17th. What's the one thing she should not miss? Who would like to
comment on that one? This is actually, I think, one of the early episodes from Understanding the French, and that is to flâne. So flâner is a French verb that means to wander, but it means a lot more than that, which is something that I get into with one of the experts that I interview on my podcast. But basically the idea of to flâner is something that it's sort of an aimless wandering. You can't have a destination. You can't be trying to get your step count up. You have to just be wandering and people watching. And I think that Paris is a city that is very easy to visit on foot. You have the river running through it. You can walk from the southernmost point to the northernmost point in 3 hours if you're motivated. And as you do all of that walking, you're going to see a lot of the city. You're going to see the neighborhoods evolve and change. You're going to see some of those hidden cachet spots that Lily talks about in her podcast. So I think that no matter how long you're here, take some time, to just wander and see what you discover. I think that's a pretty essential Paris activity.
Absolutely.
Piggyback on that, the one thing that I would tell you to do, like there are so many monuments and things to see and lists of sites, but I think that the number one thing you should do is to flân, and then make sure you just go to a cafe, any cafe that strikes your fancy, sit down, have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, and just people watch. I think so much of what happens in Paris happens like when you're sitting at a cafe, like you're watching a film in front of you, people passing by, you get a real sense of what it's like to live here. So yeah, flân and then sit and drink some wine. That's what I would say.
I did that today, actually, and I live here. We have a live question. What is the question, Caroline? I don't see it.
It's in Q&A, and it is from Jody. She asks, what is the most embarrassing thing expats say or do, but have no idea that the French are laughing at them?
Oh my God, there are so many that I discovered much later, and to my utter mortification. But actually, I swear I'm not doing this on purpose because obviously it was a live question, but I do actually address one of my most mortifying moments on the first episode of the podcast. And actually, my guest is here attending, Julie Barlow, who wrote the book on the word bonjour, which means hello. The French say hello all the time. If you want to know why, tune in on Sunday. But the French say bonjour all the time. And so whenever you start a new interaction with a new person in any given day, you say bonjour. To give you an idea, my most mortifying moment was realizing about 7 months into working in a very small company with only 30 employees that I had offended everybody because, like a diligent little American hard worker I walked in and sat down at my desk and started working in the morning. And I had offended everybody, and everybody thought that I was awful. So say bonjour to people, say it all the time. If you think you're saying it too much, it's probably just the right amount.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And to add on to that, the other thing is not only say bonjour, but when you walk into a place, you know, the politesse here, you have to go into a place and say bonjour, say au revoir, say s'il vous plaît, merci. We've got another question here too. It's, what books would you recommend that gives advice on Paris? I know a lot have come out recently, but not sure what to buy first. And this is from Dawn. Books on Paris. I think I know one personally. Lily, do you know one personally that we might suggest?
Yeah, but it's about advice though. So I wrote a book that came out last year about short stories on Paris during the pandemic, and it's a really great look into how Paris is right now and how Paris has been evolving. It's not just about the pandemic, how Paris has been evolving these last few years. But if you want a book about advice, there are a couple. There's a good book called 60 Million Frenchmen Can't Be Wrong. And I think it's been a while. It maybe came out 10 years ago or something like that. But that one does go over quite a lot of these kind of, faux pas, or why the French do certain things that we might fall into these cultural differences and traps. And so for an actual book, I'll put it in the chat. I do think that book is a good place to start anyway, and I'm sure that a lot of their information and tips are still valid today. And then if someone else has another idea, I've got a different one I can pop into. I can pop a few into the chat too for you.
Thank you, Lily. Well, while Lily's popping those into the chat, I think there's a question that people didn't really, Emily answered it a little bit, but what's the biggest way to really absorb French culture when you're just passing through?
I think it is what Emily said before. I think the thing about Paris is that it has a real feeling, it has a real way to it. And I think if you spend all your time hopping from tour to tour or landmark to landmark, you're going to see a lot of really beautiful, incredible things, but you won't really get a sense of what it feels like to live here. And it feels really nice to live here, if I may say so. So I think that the best thing you can do is wander around and get lost. You can't really get lost in Paris. All the streets are windy, but there are metro stations everywhere. So I would say start walking, something strikes your eye, follow it. Just walk around seeing what you like, stop and have a glass of wine. I think that's the best way to get a sense of what it really feels like to live here. Like I said, I've been here almost 11 years. I still do that all the time.
And I would add to that, that what Jennifer originally suggested of sitting in a cafe is another really good way to soak up Paris, because if you think about the cafe through French history, you know, the reason cafes became so important has a lot to do with how tiny the living spaces are. People used to congregate in cafes, and, you know, the French Revolution was planned in a cafe. A lot of our literary movements came to be in cafes. A lot of the philosophy that has sort of been born in France came out of cafes. So, you know, you have a couple of cafes that are kind of fixed in the collective Parisian memory. You know, Le Fleur and Les Deux Magots are two that come to mind, but it doesn't have to be those ones. You can go to literally any cafe. And what's really awesome in France is you can sit with one cup of coffee for a very, very, very long time. No one's going to bother you. No one's going to just drop the bill. No one's going to try and turn your table over. So you can sit, you can people watch, you can chat with your waiter, you can chat with people next to you. You can tell people next to you you don't want to talk to them, and that's fine too. So that's kind of a thing, a place I think that you're going to be at the intersection of a lot of different types of people, a lot of different walks of life. And it's a really good way to sort of rub shoulders with the Parisians, even if you're only here for a very short time.
Very good advice. Well, and here's a question. What is the best way to learn French? I have my own answer for that, but I'm not on the panel. I'll let somebody else answer it.
Well, I think I know what you were going to say, Gail. And well, the best way to learn French is to have a French partner, but that isn't the only way to learn French. I think listening to the radio or watching TV is a great way. And I don't watch TV normally, but in my early days in Paris, you know, and just listening to the radio and having it on, you know, you'll just absorb words without making any effort. And then you'll be like, oh, I know what that means. I sort of do, you know, that sounds familiar. And you might look it up, but it'll stick with you. And so I think that that's a great kind of a different sort of tip than studying grammar books. But I think that that's a way I made big improvements in my earlier days.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think going around and hearing if you are in Paris, if you can come here, immersing yourself as much as possible. When I first got here, I would just ride on the metro and listen to the people speaking around me. And I think just once you start to hear the cadence, you start to get a sense of the language, certain words will start to come to you and it'll fit together a little bit easier. Also, I think when you learn French from a book or a course, oftentimes it's academic French and it's not really the way that people speak. And that can make a big, big difference.
Well, so, I think like time for one more question.
I don't think we have time for one more. Well, really quickly.
I wanted to know how people can find out how they can get their event featured on Don't Miss This.
Oh, well, that's a great question.
Yes, see?
If you want to have an event, if you know of something cool that's happening up or you're happening soon, or you're hosting something, send an email to hello@parisundergroundradio.com with subject line, Don't Miss This, and we'll see about getting it on the air. Great question, Gail. Thank you so much. All right, so thank you so much for this. If you've been so intrigued by what you've heard on this panel, the hosts have put together some different auction prizes for you. So you can find a Business in France mastermind. You can get your business promoted in a banner on the Paris Underground website and a guest spot on the podcast of your choosing offered by me. You can get a curated selection of cheese with tasting notes delivered to you by Emily. Or you can get a copy of Lily's book that she mentioned, There's Only One Paris, Tales from Our Times, as well as an introduction to the history of Paris, the ultimate guide to romantic Paris, and 5 custom design date ideas, all from Lily. Yay! So here are the links for all of that in case you're interested. Next, we're going to open it up to the entertainment panel question and answer. So please, if you've got questions related to that, drop them into the Q&A. I'm going to show us some show trailers. We've got Babes in the Woods, which is co-written by me and Barbara M Betus, and co-stars Sion. Sion, you can come back on. It's got Romancing in Paris with Lily, and Storytime by me, and then I promise that's the last of my podcasts. So here is Babes in the Woods.
When former college roommates Joanne and Britt join up for a hike in the Colorado Rockies on Joanne's 25th birthday, they're prepared for a light, fun, 4-hour walk culminating in delicious birthday barbecue.
You ready? Britt, are you putting on lipstick?
So what?
So we're about to go on a 4-hour hike up the Rockies.
So? Mother Nature will appreciate the effort. But when they decide to follow a mysterious arrow in the woods, things take a turn for the bizarre. Hey, wait, this rock has an arrow painted on it. Was that yours?
I don't remember an arrow.
Should we follow it? Maybe it's a sign.
We don't want to get lost, though. There's only this one trail.
Well, let's just take a little peek. What could possibly go wrong? With not much more than lipstick, dental floss, and their own senses of humor to get them through, will they survive against Mother Nature, unexplained occurrences, and an abandoned town that may not be abandoned after all? Babes in the Woods, an original comedic mystery series. Wednesdays on Paris Underground Radio.
All right, and then Romancing in Paris.
Is Paris the most romantic city in the world? It is, but there's much more to its romantic allure than the Eiffel Tower. The Romancing in Paris podcast aims to reveal the true romantic essence of the city. Secret gardens, hidden historic sites, and terribly seductive bars. Join romantic expert and writer Lily Heise as we discover the city's best romantic spots, ideal for both curious couples and lovers of Paris alike. Ready to experience the real romantic Paris? Tune into the Romancing in Paris podcast every Wednesday on Paris Underground Radio. Visit parisundergroundradio.com/Romancing in Paris to listen and subscribe.
And lastly, Storytime.
If I ask you what it's like to be a Parisian writer, what do you imagine? Drinking noisette after noisette in a noisy cafe? Jotting down lines in your bedside journal while your lover fetches you fresh croissant? Stumbling down the streets overflowing with prose and red wine like Hemingway? Well, now's your chance to find out. My name is Jennifer Geraghty, and I'm host of the Storytime in Paris podcast. In each episode, I chat with a writer with a French connection. The twist? The questions come from you, the writer's biggest fans and followers. Then our beloved writers will read us an excerpt from their books. So cozy up with a noisette, a croissant, or whatever's your pleasure, and settle in for Storytime in Paris on Paris Underground Radio.
All right, Gail, take it away.
Thank you. Well, panel number 2, entertainment. So I have a question for our panelists. It's from Christine Alexander. Her question: what advice do you have for single women moving to Paris who would like to date?
Well, Thank you, Christine, and hello. Christine follows my Facebook page, so great to see Christine's question here. She could follow some of yours as well. Maybe some of the others know Christine too. I have a good piece of advice, and that is to go to meetup groups. And so there's a group for every single interest you could imagine, as well as more general expat meetup groups where you will meet French people too, French people who maybe lived or worked abroad and are interested in keeping those international kind of their international vibe and lifestyle going. And so it could be anything from hiking to wine tasting to film. So there are tons of groups either on meetup.com or expat groups. Even if you're here temporarily, you can kind of join those. And so I think those are a great way to meet people. You'll meet friends and potentially romantic interests too.
Good suggestion. Any other single ladies in the house have some suggestions?
If we had suggestions, we wouldn't be single. Great idea. That's what I did when I first moved here. I joined a bunch of meetups. I also think that just getting out, go sit in a cafe. Again, people will talk to you. People will approach you. It's a culture of people sort of finding each other outside. I just saw the question from Jody about how you learn about these groups. If you go to meetup.com and I think you search by city, you can find them. So meetup.com.
I also think sitting in a cafe, I meet people all the time. Of course, I talk to everybody, so I'm probably a bad example, but truly just sitting, walking around, you always meet people. Anyway, I'm not the one answering the questions. Now, here's another question. In your opinion, one of you, what's the most romantic district in Paris?
That's a hard one. I personally really like the Canal Saint-Martin area. I think that's really beautiful, kind of romantic, and kind of walk around, lots of things to see. Also, I know what Lily's going to say, Montmartre is very romantic.
No, that's not what I was going to say, but it is. So.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say the Marais. And the reason why I often choose the Marais, or if we can cheat, well, no, it's the third and the fourth district, is that in the Marais, it's quiet, there isn't as much traffic, there's history, there's food, there's kind of delicious treats, there's everything that we love about Paris in one place, but because there isn't a lot of traffic, it's nice to be able to walk like kind of hand in hand, but there are also lots of secret spots and secret gardens and interesting historic sites, which we will visit in episode 3 of Romancing in Paris.
We also got a question from Calista Taslin, which I'm not sure if you've seen, Gail, but she wants to know what our favorite movie about Paris, not necessarily set in Paris, is. I have an answer, but I don't know if anyone else has one too.
That's a good question.
Well, then I'll answer. So my favorite movies that, I don't know, I mean, for me, about Paris means that it gives you the sense of what it's like to be here, the feeling of it. I'm a really big fan of the Richard Linklater films, the Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. I think a lot of it is just them walking around and talking, drinking coffee, drinking wine, debating, arguing, making love. I feel like that's all very Paris-y. So those would be my choice.
Well, I guess that's a good one. And I think it's a hard question to answer as well, too. Well, we still have some more time. Here's an interesting question. What was it like to co-write an audio drama? And was it your first time doing it, Jennifer?
It was. I don't know, Barbara, if you want to answer that question.
Yes.
It was so much fun because I was writing it with my daughter, Jennifer. And we conceived the idea for the drama on a 4-day trip from Florida to Colorado, where we spent the summer in the Rocky Mountains. And so that became the setting for our little radio drama / mystery / comedy. And it was really fun. Jennifer did most of the actual writing. So I was able to think up ideas and tell them to her, and she would write them down. And then my major role was coming up with local color and things about the wilderness and wild animals. And she translated everything into 20-something speak so that it didn't sound like an old lady was writing it.
I'm not sure that I would have put it quite that way, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think that my mom, Barbara, came up with a lot of the major plot points and did a lot of thinking about how we would get from point A to point B in the plot. And I did a lot of the detail work, specifically the dialogue. Yeah, dropping in a lot of pop culture references because these are supposed to be like, 20-something girls. So yeah, I think our skills complemented each other well. My mom is a novelist and I'm a screenwriter, so they're kind of different worlds anyway. And we kind of just came together in this audio drama.
Oh, that's very cool. What's everyone's favorite book that's set in Paris?
What about you, Sion? Do you have a favorite book set in Paris?
Well, I do have a favorite. Oh, sorry. Is that better?
No.
Does somebody else have a favorite book set in Paris?
I do. I have a favorite book set in Paris. It's a book that I read. It's not a recent book, but it's a book that I read recently. And again, I think it gives you a really good sense of what it's like to live here. It's also a pretty, it's a very emotional story, kind of a heart-wrenching story, but very, very Parisian in its feeling. And it's Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. Is that what you were going to say, Sion?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Stole your answer.
Yeah, mine don't. I don't think it's the book that people expect when you think about Paris, but I mean, he's my literary hero. It's so beautiful and heartbreaking. So if you just want to read like literary art,
yeah,
that's what I'd recommend.
Well, Emily agrees with you guys too, because she just put something in the chat about it being a favorite of hers as well. Lily, do you have any favorite books that are set in Paris?
Well, it's always hard to say favorite, and so I think that it's instead of it's better to think among the favorites. But I'm a bit of a history geek, and so I tend to like not only just historical fiction, but actually just nonfiction history books. So you might be a little bored. I'll be reading about Catherine de Medici or Louis XIV or something like that. But there were so many, that top shelf of my bookshelf, it has just Paris books. They're all over the place. And so I find that what's really makes a great successful Paris book is a book that that explores something else in Paris, and it isn't really for tour, it doesn't feel like a like a touristy read or just an expat read, let's say. And I agree that Giovanni's Room does evoke that, because it's someone who's just in Paris and it's just having this really intense experience here. And so I think that just for that is like, just an amazing book that kind of brings you here, and it doesn't take, it's not really about Paris, it's about this tragic love story that takes place in Paris, but you can really kind of get a feel for what it was like to be in Paris at that time. So.
Right. Thank you so much, everyone, panelists, for being here. If you're interested in what our hosts from this panel have to offer, you can find, again, the Business in France Mastermind. You can get your banner put on the Paris Underground Radio website. You can get a guest spot on the podcast of your choosing, all offered by me. And you can get a copy of your new favorite Paris book, Lily's book, There's Only One Paris, Tales from Our Time, as well as an introduction to the history of Paris, the ultimate guide to romantic Paris, and 5 custom designed Paris date ideas, all from Lily. Thank you so much. So our next panel will be the Balancing Life panel. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the ins and outs of life, as well as maybe some of the bigger picture things. How do you balance yourself? How do you balance day to day? On this panel, we will have Gail Boisclair and Marie here? Yes, Marie Pistinier from Paris, The State of Mind. We'll have Kathryn Kemp-Griffin from Paris Undressed, and Annette Delou from The Heart of You. So I will show you their videos and then we'll get started.
Marie, should I find an apartment before I move to Paris?
Well,
What's a tenant file and a guarantor? Do I need them?
depends.
I just bought an apartment. What should I do with it?
Congratulations. Something to think about our...
Is it better to rent my apartment furnished or unfurnished? How do I set my rental rates?
Gail, these are all great questions, but the answers may not be so simple. Perhaps it's better to tune into our new podcast, Paris, A State of Mind.
Oh, that's a great idea. I'm Gail Boisclair.
And I'm Marie Pistinier.
Between us, we have more than 35 years of experience in real estate and rental services. Listen in as we answer all your burning queries.
You can even submit your own questions for us to answer.
Paris, A State of Mind. Mondays on Paris Underground Radio.
Excellent. And then Paris Undressed. Oops, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Here's Paris Undressed.
What bra are you wearing right now? Whether you're smiling from ear to ear because you love your bra, or whether you winced because you're wearing, yet again, something you'd rather not, tune into Paris Undressed, the podcast that goes behind the seams of the lingerie capital of the world. Hi, I'm Kathryn Kemp-Griffin, author and host of Paris Undressed. From boudoir to the street, we'll explore the art of making and wearing French lingerie. We'll meet the designers and brands shaping our bodies and talk to fascinating people about femininity, sensuality, and sexuality. We'll share bra stories, secrets, desires, hopes, and dreams. This is the ultimate special occasion. So put on your favorite bra and tune into Paris Undressed, Tuesdays on Paris Underground Radio.
And lastly, The Heart of You.
Welcome to Paris Underground Radio's The Heart of You. My name is Annette Delou. This is a podcast about soul exploration, finding out what your true purpose is in this lifetime through various modalities such as grounding and energy clearing, divination, and exploring your past lives. Over the next 20 episodes, I will also be interviewing experts in the fields of astrology, mediumship, as well as numerology. Join us every Thursday for a brand new episode. Go to parisundergroundradio.com for more information. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Paris Underground Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I look forward to walking this journey with you.
Sorry. All right, so if you have questions for anyone on this panel, please drop them in the Q&A box. I have one from, and I hope I say this name correctly, Lavon Davis Shank. And this is for anyone. How did you decide to relocate to Paris?
Well, I guess I can go. Mine was, well, it's kind of complicated, but like everyone else, most people, I did not have a lifelong desire to live in Paris, but here I am after 20 years living in Paris. I came actually because of my, at the time, boyfriend, who is eventually my husband, who is now my ex-husband. And that's why I came to Paris. It wasn't really for any particular reason. However, I said that I've only ever liked Montmartre and I would only live there and I'd give it a year. And if I didn't like it, I was going to go. And I like more than Montmartre and I stayed longer than a year. So that's how I relocated.
Kate, did you want to share yours?
Happy to. We were newlyweds in Toronto and we're looking for adventure, and we flipped a coin, heads Paris, tails San Francisco, and we moved 4 weeks later, and it's been 30 years and I've never been to San Francisco.
All right.
I think my husband might be on this call, but he doesn't know that I think I actually made that coin land heads. So,
Kate, I have a question for you. What is so special about French lingerie?
Oh, I get asked this one a lot. What's so special about French lingerie is the aesthetic mixed with comfort. That is absolutely not enough for it just to be comfortable. And I talk about this a lot in tours and whatnot, but we sort of settle for comfortable, but it doesn't leave the design floor in France unless there's an aesthetic and a beauty to it as well.
Very good. All right. Well, then a question for Annette. How does spirituality help me get to know my soul?
Well, and I'll back up a little bit on that question, actually, because as you and I have talked about many times about how spirituality actually pertains to living in Paris and moving here and making those types of decisions, and connecting to your soul and spirituality and learning about your past lives and all of those things can actually help you make those decisions of, well, should I move to Paris or should I move to San Francisco, as Kate was saying, so it's something that can really help you really stay in the flow of what your life purpose is. When you're actually trying to make any decision, it can make your life a lot easier, because we all know, and we've all been in that situation where if you're trying to do something in particular and you keep on hitting roadblock after roadblock, that is essentially the universe telling you you're kind of going in the wrong direction. Maybe you should kind of go over here. So it can help redirect you to what you're supposed to be doing in your life.
Fabulous. All right, I have a question that just came in from Jody Gaffey. Two questions, actually, I think for Gail and Marie. What process, or actually this first one's for anyone, what process did you use to decide where to live in Paris? Mine was where I could afford, but maybe there's a more interesting question.
I think this is a capital question, like where I can afford to live in Paris, because it's not a cheap city, even though you have many different arrondissements, so you can find, I'm sure you'll find the place to be and the place to live. But I think that money will be the first thing. And for me, it was I've lived in the second arrondissement for many years, and I really loved, very central. And due to just the convenient things, now I'm in the fourth, but I'm very lucky to be in the fourth, actually. But it was just a chance, when you pop up with an ad, when you see the place that fits your perfect budget, size, number of bedroom, which are sometimes not a large number of bedrooms, then you have to go for it.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of have to jump as soon as you can, because it'll be gone. Another question for you guys. What are the benefits of renting an apartment versus buying an apartment? And actually, we have a full episode about this.
Totally. I think we could easily do a full episode about that. I think that what a lot of people don't realize when they say that the rents are expensive in Paris, the mortgages are also expensive in Paris. So oftentimes what you would pay to rent is similar to what you would pay if you were actually the owner of an apartment. So if you do have the capital to invest in the beginning in an apartment, it's probably in the long run cheaper if you own versus rent. That's my opinion. But Marie, you might think something differently.
Yeah, I would add something. For example, if you live in a place that you rent and if there is always renovation work around you, like in Gail's apartment, where there is not a single day where she doesn't have like hammer and many noise. When you rent, then you can move out within a month's notice. When you have purchased a place, then you have to deal with that. And yes, the question will be for the money you have to invest in the beginning, but you have to maybe reduce the size of your ambition when you are the owners. But it's like you capitalize what you have like on a long run, and then you can eventually think about renting this out after. And with the money of that, maybe you can afford to have like a larger place, maybe in the countryside. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Another question for Kate. This is from Dawn. Which of the big stores like Galeries Lafayette or Printemps is the best one for shopping for lingerie if you only have time to go to one place? Or is there just a specific street or area that has stores that would be more interesting?
Hello, Dawn. I would suggest a department store called Le Bon Marché. It's Rue de Sèvres and Rue de Bac. It's in the 7th. Fabulous area to be in. You can actually sort of avoid all the crowds that you get squished at by walking through to Galeries Lafayette and Printemps, and they change the floor every time. So you're breaking out in a sweat before you even find the place. And it's a luxury department store, but they have innovative brands, and they also have the French brands, and those prices are pretty much the same everywhere. The change rooms are better, the experience is better, and that's key. So Le Bon Marché.
Great answer. Piggybacking on that, is it true that French women always wear matching bras and panties?
You're gonna have to tune in for one of those podcasts about that. It's the jury's not out, but we have asked the question a lot and have fascinating answers.
That's true. It's actually one of my favorite parts. Another question for Annette. Is tarot something that I can learn to do? Is that something that I can learn?
Yeah, absolutely. So the really cool thing about learning divination tools such as tarot or using a pendulum, things like that, everybody can use them. Everybody can learn how to use them. So it's not just if you feel like you are clairvoyant and you can see the future. They are a wonderful tool that can help you in your day-to-day life, actually.
Kate, can you name the street again that you mentioned for Dawn?
Yes, it's Rue de Sèvres and Rue du Bac, and I'll type it in as well, Dawn, but it's Le Bon Marché, okay?
Thank you, yeah. Excellent, thank you so much, everyone. Oh, wait, one last question. Gail, where are the best websites to see apartments for rent and apartments that are for sale?
Oh, that's a big question. There's so many places, and a lot of different companies use, actually, Se Loger is one of the largest ones that combine a lot of different rental apartment agencies on Se Loger. But I think it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're an expat and you want to get a place, you might want to try to find other expat people that know what it's all about. But Se Loger, I think, the go-to.
Yeah. Great. Thank you all so much. So there was a lot of really interesting information in this panel. If you're interested in what these hosts have on auction, Marie has offered a 30-minute consultation for anyone looking to move to Paris or purchase real estate here. Gail has offered 20% off any Perfectly Paris apartment rental with a 1-week minimum stay. You can win a one-on-one bra fitting and a copy of Kate's book, Paris Undressed, The Secrets of French Lingerie from Kate. You can also win a 30-minute guided meditation from Kate. Annette is offering, if you liked her show trailer, that beautiful thing she did, she's offering a custom-made logo for your business or brand. And Annette is also offering a 30-minute tarot and intuitive session. So here are all of the links for those things. So our next panel will be the food and wine panel. We have Emily Monaco and Caroline Connor from Chez Trois. We have Omid Tavalai from The Transplant Kitchen, and again, Caroline Connor from Wine Dine Caroline's Happy Hour. So I will show you the trailers very quickly, and then we will get started.
Hey, I'm Emily.
And I'm Caroline.
And we live in France, where pretty much every meal demands both a cheese course and a wine pairing.
Amen.
It doesn't need to be a special occasion for you to add this French flair to your daily meals, and we want to help you with that.
That's the thing. A great cheese and a delicious glass of wine can really elevate your at-home dining. However, even if it's a Tuesday night and you're by yourself.
Tuesday night by yourself is the perfect time.
Absolutely.
So get involved. Send us your favorite home meals. Describe the recipe. Let us know what it's all about. And we will put our palates and minds to the test. I'm going to pair it with the most complimentary cheese.
And I am going to figure out a perfect wine pairing.
Tune in on Fridays to hear some of our favorite pairings and to discover some brand new recipes that you can try at home.
Join our guests as we explore how to elevate your home-cooked food.
And now, The Transplant Kitchen.
What's the recipe for a successful cooking podcast? Hire some experienced hosts. I'm Omid Tavalai.
And I'm Alana McPherson Tavalai.
We're otherwise known as Emperor Norton. We've been doing this for years. Neither of us has lost any appendages.
You're not building coffins.
Don't make sweeping generalizations or engage in stereotypes, because that's what romantic couples do here in the City of Light and love and romance. Vous faites des burgers et des brownies. Skip the off-color humor. It's not like child exploitation or something. Do engage in woman-splaining.
Actually, a lot of recipes use both baking powder and baking soda.
Sprinkle liberally with dad jokes. I don't know what kind of baking powder I'm buying.
It's all single acting.
Okay.
So you know.
Just like the men here. They're single acting.
Help me.
And maybe actually a useful recipe once in a while. Tune in to The Transplant Kitchen on Paris Underground Radio.
And lastly, Wine Dine Caroline's Happy Hour.
Hi, welcome to Wine Dine Caroline's Happy Hour. I'm Caroline Connor, a wine expert living in Lyon, France, where I am otherwise known as Wine Dine Caroline. Now, this isn't your average wine podcast. You can join me at Happy Hour, where I'll be meeting with friends, new and old, to hear a funny, stupid, or just all-out ridiculous story from their life. And then I'll pair a wine with it. Join us for belly laughs, silliness, and lots of love. Cheers!
Great. All right. Take it away, Gail.
I love all of those trailers. That was like really, really great. So here's the question. What's the biggest misconception about the French food scene today?
Do you want to go, Emily? I have opinions as always.
Yeah, I think we have some similar opinions, but I'll be short and sweet and basically say that what you think you know about French food is probably not what's exciting about the French food scene right now. So when you think about like your classic bistro, your steak frite, your beef bourguignon, it definitely still exists here, but it's not what's most exciting right now.
It is. It's funny. That's exactly what I think. And I know, Omid, you just have to turn on your camera. You're in. You should be. Oh, no, wait. I promoted him. There we go. He's coming too. Okay, there we go. So yeah, it's basically, I mean, I also, for the record, am not in Paris, guys. I'm the only one. I'm the odd man out. I'm in Lyon, and we are the culinary capital of France. But the restaurants that turn me on here are not, hi, you made it. They're not the bouchons. They're not the traditional restaurants. It's young chefs doing cool stuff, making fresh food that is inspired by the world, you know. So I think that the thing about French food is that, of course, there's the old school stuff, but there's also such a huge scene of like young people and a lot of foreigners. You know, here there's a lot of amazing women, particularly who are from other countries who have set up shop here and are some of the most exciting chefs in town. So that's what I'm here for.
What do you think, Omid, about the biggest misconception about the French food scene today?
I think the biggest misconception that I hear from visitors is that you can't get a bad meal. You can get a lot of bad meals. Basically, the rule is true. It really applies everywhere. Can you guys hear me okay? Sorry, it's really loud and working in a kitchen in a bar. So it's a rule of thumb anywhere that a menu that's 3 pages long is pretty difficult for any kitchen to handle. So you should avoid places like that. But also, almost any place on a big, highly trafficked corner near a monument is pretty much a guaranteed lousy meal. They get all the tourist traffic. They don't need to be good.
That's a good one. Well, and here's another thing. We all have a French food that we really can't stand. So go. Omid, you start since you were the last one. What French food do you detest?
Sorry, I have sirens in the background here. The thing I can't stand is actually the sandwiches that you get from the boulangerie, because they are not greater than the sum of the parts. Here we have amazing bread, amazing cheese, and amazing charcuterie, and they managed to F it all up by pre-making them all and piling them in a fridge to go stale. And it just makes me angry.
Sorry, that was my dog agreeing with you. You have no, I text my friend Christy like once a week to say, all I want is a sandwich. You can't get, these people don't understand the art of the sandwich at all. It's really, and it's like, we have all of the ingredients. Why can't we make a sandwich that functions?
What about you, Emily?
This is hard because I like a lot of things, but I will know you know what it is. It's everywhere you go in like a traditional French restaurant that does entrée, plat, dessert, appetizer, main, dessert with the 3-dish formula. There's like a very expensive white fish in a butter sauce option. I hate that. I don't want that ever. I don't want to pay like 10 euros more than everybody else to eat fish that was flown in from God knows where. And it's everywhere and it's pervasive and it makes me really angry.
That's funny.
Well, and speaking about foods, on the other side of the coin, what foods do you miss from home? Like if you're from the US, for example, what foods do you miss the most that's not in France?
Well, for me, my whole career is predicated on that. Tune into the first episode of the podcast and you'll see how that started. It was donuts. But yeah, it's just there are a lot of things. I grew up in California from a rather ethnically diverse background, an ethnically diverse place. There are just all kinds of things that we missed. So our solution was to start making it and somehow ended up selling it to people here. Anything from donuts to tacos to where I am right now. I'm making queso dip because the owner is, he's from Houston and he wanted me to do something a little more Texas. So we got queso dip on the menu.
Emily, do you miss anything from home?
I miss a lot of things. I miss like inexpensive but good sushi. And also I miss like a guaranteed edible taco within like a stone. There are good tacos, but you have to like go stake them out. And I want there to be plentiful tacos near me. But I'm coming. I'm on my way. But the thing that I fill my suitcase with that I come back with from the States with is Big Red gum, the cinnamon flavored gum, and any peanut butter flavored candies.
Caroline?
Well, I smuggle back Mexican chilies because obviously Mexican food's a big one, and Annie's mac and cheese. I smuggle that. But these days it's better than it used to be for sure. And yeah, I can mostly get it. I think what I miss most, and this might not be a problem in Paris, but you can't get food between 2 and 7 in Lyon. So if you come here, you cannot eat between lunch and dinner. It's illegal. And that I'm used to it now. And like, I eat lunch when it's lunchtime. But when I first got here, I was like, it's 3 p.m. Why can't I get a sandwich? Because they don't exist. But yeah, it was that was a culture shock. Because if you're not in Paris, it is hard. Anywhere that's not Paris, it's going to be hard to find food between lunch and dinner.
And Caroline, why then did you move to Lyon?
Because it's the greatest. It's great. I love it here. It's like Paris, but a lot more manageable. So we call it taille humaine. It's human size. And I think that's so funny. They're just cute phrase, but it's super. I can get anywhere I want, like a half an hour. And it's really beautiful. It's very close to the Alps. I can actually literally like see Mont Blanc on a clear day from the top of the giant hill I live on. Emily knows. Emily lived in my apartment for a month, took care of my dog. But it's a great place. Everyone should come visit me. It's the greatest.
And I just want to ask you one more question since you're talking. How did you get into wine, Caroline?
Oh gosh, I've been in wine for my entire career, adult career. I got into wine when I was doing my undergrad at Oxford, and I did competitive blind wine tasting. Really randomly, just kind of ended up joining this club and then like finding a splinter faction and ended up competing in a match against Cambridge and being top taster, which was a big deal. And then ended up getting spit out into the wine trade. So I've been doing this for a long time.
Oh, wow. And all of you, how has living in France changed your approach to or how you think about French food and drink? Like you had preconceived ideas before you got here, and now what happened to this?
I have to preface this with the fact that I moved here when I was 19. So like the most exciting thing to me was that you could go to Monoprix and get €1 wine. Yeah. I was drinking the stuff that's like, it's like all corked. Like it's just corked wine. And I was drinking it. So, but I do think that there is like, I'm from New York, and French food in New York, and I think throughout the States is associated with like high-end, really expensive food. And I think that probably the biggest misconception is something that's still founded in my 19-year-old self, although I'm not buying €1 wine anymore, but it's that getting a good meal here is actually really reasonable. You don't have to pay top dollar to eat well, especially if you're making your own sandwiches. You're good.
Have to.
Yeah.
Well, I think what else? Is French wine actually better than the rest of the wine in the world?
No. It's great. There's great wine everywhere.
I really like Italian wine. Did I say that?
Yeah. There's good wine in China now. There's great Mexican wine. There's wine all over the world. There's great English wine. I'm drinking French wine right now, but I am a wine enthusiast globally. So I do think that we should all give other wines a chance when we can get them.
And do you think, this might be my last question since we're getting close to the end, what impact, if any, do you think foreigners have had on French dining and drinking culture?
I mean, here, I just see it being such a positive impact. I think that, again, like some of the coolest restaurants in the city are run by foreigners, and the French people are up for it. They're super into it. Here, people are really open-minded, and my friend just opened up a like high-end, fancy gastronomic Mexican restaurant, and she's full every single night. And it's awesome to see that. It's just really exciting. It makes me so happy.
Okay, Dawn has a question actually. She says, I have a confession. Have tried numerous wines, but yet to find one I like to drink. Help!
Wine is not for everybody. If you've tried a lot of wine and you don't like it, you might just not like wine. But German Riesling tastes like juice.
Good.
A great answer. Tastes like juice. Fabulous. Thank you so much. Now I am starving. So great job. So if that panel whet your appetite, you can bid on a Sparkling Savvy Champagne Masterclass by Caroline. In the food and wine package, you'll find an homage to fromage, cheese and wine pairing, as well as a 1-on-1 2-wine pairing with wines provided by Caroline. In the same package, you can get a curated cheese selection delivered to your door by Emily if you're in Paris, and a variety pack of fresh baked goods, including cakes, cookies, and more by Omid and Alana. So that's not, I copied the wrong link. Inevitable. All right, so here is the link for that package. Oops. There is a link for that package. And if you want to see all of the auction items again, they're here. You can donate on that link there. Thank you so much for coming to this. if you have watched this, if you've been watching on Facebook Live, for example, and you did not sign up to come get the link, please make sure that you subscribe, go to the Paris Underground Radio website and subscribe to the newsletter or even to the launch party, so that you will be included on the list to get a sneak preview of all 12 podcasts tomorrow. If you don't look at your email, I cannot send you an email. So please make sure you'll have until midnight tonight, Paris time, to add your name to that list, and you'll get the link tomorrow. And the auctions will be live until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, Paris time. And I think that's everything. Thank you so much, Jody. Thank you. Thank you so much to all these wonderful hosts. Again, the hosts, Gail, Boisclair, and Marie Pistinier from Paris, A State of Mind. Lily Heise, I'm just going on my screen. Lily Heise from Romance in Paris and Paris Cachée. Emily Monaco of Navigating in French, and Emily and Caroline Connor are both in Chez Toi. Caroline also does Wine Dine Caroline's Happy Hour. Amid and Alana Tavalai do the Transplant Kitchen. Annette Deleu does The Heart of You, and Kate does Paris Undressed. I host Don't Miss This and Storytime in Paris, and I co-wrote Babes in the Woods. Thank you so much. I hope that you like the podcast as much as we enjoyed making them. We'll do another one of these sometime soon, and hope to see you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.